Eric's got the groove beats going on.
So damn.
So different than yesterday when Ryan was like dancing. And
there's less dancing going on.
Less
today.
dancing today.
Slow jams.
Yeah, slow jams day. I like it. You probably started dancing with the one you loved with slow jam at some point in time. Kathleen Miller joins us, who is not teaching slow dancing lessons, but finances is a big part of the relationship dance that you have. It's not just all groove beats and love songs. I don't know. Anyways, Kathleen Miller joins us. She's published 2 books, was recently honored with the Influencer Award by Financial Planning Magazine, is considered to be one of the top 100 wealth advisors by Worth Magazine. Welcome back, Kathleen. How are you today?
Good.
You doing good?
Doing good.
All right. So, you always bring some of the most interesting information because a lot of the stuff we talk about real estate and money, there is a relationship with real estate and money that people have, but there's also relationships that people have that are affected by money and, of course, real estate and all those different things. Tell us a little bit about, some of this interesting living together, then marrying, and then divorce. There's some new stats out on this stuff.
Yes, there are new stats. Well, first of all, men and women are getting married at a later age, and women are becoming more of an economic force, so they have a certain amount of independence they didn't have 30 years ago. But it has been shown that people that live together, and that isn't just 6 months before you're getting married, but really have a pattern of living together for 5X number of years, actually have a 50% divorce rate. And part of it is that they have this renter's mentality, if you will. And so if you don't like your renter, you evict. And money is certainly one of the factors that causes the problems between men, women, money, and relationships.
Well, so certainly you end up with this. So if you live together for a long time before you get married, people will think there's a correlation between renting and renting your significant other.
When you live together, you have a money system. You each have a money system. You're dating, and then who's going to pay for what? And so then you decide to buy a house or whatever. And did you draw up the agreement? Did you just say you were going to own it 50-50? Or did you decide you were going to own it based on a pro rata of your income? And one of the problems becomes if you bought it 50-50 and then suddenly you make a lot more money, whether it's the male or the female, did you keep the finances of this together? So there can become a disparity of earnings, and then you have the disparity of values. And you've heard me say that you have a child. Now you're going to get 2 cultures in and how you're going to raise the child, how much you're going to spend on the child, and do you agree on that? So money is an issue in divorce, and oftentimes people that are living together, they start out with the system. Then they get married and they don't necessarily change the system.
Well, that's, I think, what is really interesting. You talk about how the age of men and women that are marrying is actually rising. So people come into marriage with a lot more of their own personal habits that are probably tougher to fix or tougher to change, not fix, but, change or compromise. Because I know from my experience with my wife, my way of paying the bills was I would just, put $300 towards the bill every time. And sometimes it would pay too much. Sometimes it would pay too little. It always worked. She goes, well, how do you know? I said, well, it worked because the lights stayed on in my house. So, we have but she's a little bit more involved. And so it's funny to.
Well, you have different systems.
Dynamics, yeah.
You have different systems. And so I think it's really important before you get married, before you buy a piece of real estate together and you do these things, that you really have some discussions about money. Not only what's on your net worth statement and your debt, but share your credit report, share your credit score, talk about how you value money. And you've heard me talk about having a don't ask fund. I mean, come up with what your fixed expenses are, and then everybody ought to have some money that's just theirs. That's a don't ask. Don't ask me how I'm spending it.
Yeah, it would seem that allows some independence because there are independent people in marriages.
Right. And I said that everyone ought to go see the movie The Joy Luck Club because it's for individuals and it's about their money relationship. It's about a lot of things, but there's an instance where this woman is watching her daughter who's married this man, and they have very different incomes. And they split everything that they purchase in the house. It's obviously gone way awry. And she doesn't eat ice cream, but she has to pay in the budget for her share of the ice cream. And, it gets ludicrous. You can get a system that's so outrageous that you are going to cause divorces because people are going to be happy with, their discretionary money or their fixed money.
So you need an ice cream fund.
Yeah. Well, if you don't eat ice cream, you shouldn't have to pay for it in your budget. Or you shouldn't say that, we have $5 in our budget this much for ice cream, or you give me a cat. You give me a cat for Christmas. And then in the budget, you make me pay for that cat 100% on our monthly budget.
That doesn't seem fair. That really wouldn't be much of a gift, would it, Kathleen?
Well, they have some really good situations in that movie that illustrate it. You can read it, but I think it's important to actually sit down and address what your money system is. It's better to do it before you get married, because money is one of the reasons why people get divorced.
But what about, so you have this, when you're renting or you're living together pre-marriage, it makes a lot of sense. He buys this, she buys this, you maybe mix your rent money and your bills or whatnot. But typically people who aren't married aren't totally joining funds. But when you do start joining funds, is there any joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there joining funds? Is there fund joining funds? Is there fund joining funds? Fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use start joining funds fund use start joining funds 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 use joining funds use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins use fund what joins use fund what joins use joining fund is there any start joining funds? Is there any start joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there joining funds? Is there fund what join funds? Is there fund what join funds? Fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use start joining funds fund use start joining funds 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 use joining funds use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins is there any fund what joins is there any fund what joins is there any joining fund is there any start joining funds? Is there any start joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there joining funds? Is there fund what join funds? Is there fund what join funds? Fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use start joining funds use start joining funds 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 use joining funds use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins is there any fund what joins is there any fund what joins is there any joining fund is there any start joining funds? Is there any start joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there joining funds? Is there fund what join funds? Is there fund what join funds? Fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use start joining funds use start joining funds 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 use joining funds use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins is there any fund what joins is there any fund what joins is there any joining fund is there any start joining funds? Is there any start joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there joining funds? Is there fund what join funds? Is there fund what join funds? Fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use fund what joins fund use start joining funds use start joining funds 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 use joining funds use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins use joins fund what joins Is there any user fund? What joining? Is there any user fund? What joining? Is there any user joining fund? Is there any user joining fund? Is there any user joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there any joining funds? Is there joining funds? Is there fund? What joining? Is there fund? What joining funds? Fund what joint fund fund what joint fund fund what joint fund start joining funds fund